Alright, so let's do this. I've seen a lot of people do these types of videos and I've never really done them, but I felt like I wanted to. So this will be the top 10 books of 2022. So my favorite books, basically, the best books. I have gone through my call pile and taken the 5 stars. And then when I got to the 4 stars and 4.5, I had to kind of pick. I think without further ado, we should just get started. So it will probably come as no surprise to any of you which ones are in my top 5, because obviously I have talked a lot about them because I love them. So first up, we have Blade of Secrets. This is one of my all-time favorite books, and that's probably because I identify so heavily with Siva. So in this book, we follow a bladesmith, a magical bladesmith called Siva. She is commissioned to make this very powerful weapon for a warlord, and she accidentally makes it even more powerful than she intended to. But by doing this, she also discovers the plans of this warlord and then decides that it is too dangerous to give her the weapon, so she flees with her sister, a scholar named Patrick, and a mercenary named Kellen, and they go on an adventure to basically escape this warlord, kind of following them, you know. This is just such a great book, and I feel like it depicts social anxiety or anxiety as a whole very, very well, and all the overthinking that she does, and all of the nitpicking every single thing. So like walking into a room, she's uncomfortable because this and that person seems like they're looking at her and somebody is laughing. They must be laughing at her, and I understand those thoughts because I feel them. I really, really enjoyed this, and I can only like I've recommended this so many times and I will keep recommending it. And now I've actually also finished the second book. Not that that should be included in this because I read it this year, but I recommend this series. It's such a great series, and it's quick to read. It's very fast-paced, and it just kind of makes me want to pick up more of Trisha Levenseller's books, so I just need to get on with it. But this one is just, it's so great. I also really like the sister dynamic because we have Siva, who's very careful, but she is also looking out for her sister like all the time. But her sister wants to be a soldier and wants to take care of Siva. So it's just really, really nice, and I like it. And it's also kind of plays upon the whole, if I love you, I need to set you free and I need to let you go be on your own. And it's also Siva's journey to figuring that out. The found family is phenomenal, and the more they get together, like the more they travel together, the more they start to like each other and see life from each other's perspectives. And I feel like that is just really, really great because each of them have a different way of life that the other might not understand. So it's just really nice. It's such a great journey of growing friendship and adventure. And of course, action as well. We are running from a warlord. So, but yes, this, I don't want to say the best book of 2022, but my favorite. So, but I did give this 5 stars. Next up, we have Year of the Reaper by Makia Lucia. And this one, I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. So in this we follow Cassia. I think his full name is Cassiopeia, but I'm really not sure. So when we first meet Cass, he is on his way home from escaping this prison, and in his world there is a plague kind of sweeping the land. So he is escaping the prison and escaping the plague. And when he returns home, the king and the queen has taken well, they haven't taken anything. They've been invited into staying in their home because it seems like it's one of the only cities that the plague hasn't touched yet. So the king and queen are living with him and his brother. I don't remember his brother's name. And on the day that he enters town, there is like this ceremony for the new baby prince. But at the ceremony, there is an assassination attempt on the prince, and Cassia is quick on his feet and saves the prince from drowning. This leads to the whole mystery that this book kind of revolves around. Who wants to kill the prince, and why would you want to kill a baby? Like what threat is that to anyone? And who is going around and killing all these people, because there's a bunch of more people dying. And it seems that all of them are connected in one way or the other. but nobody can really explain why. So that is what we do in this book. That is what we follow. We also look a little bit at Cassia because he survived this prison and he survived the plague actually. And we want to know why. So it's also kind of looking into that. It is great. It is really great. I really enjoy it. And it's very different from what I've normally read. I wish this was a series because I love the characters so much. But I also feel like if there were a sequel, it would be dragging it out. Because I feel like this concluded everything nicely. You could make like a companion. That would be cool. Following one of the side characters. I really want to see something from the brother's perspective. If you read it makes sense. You know what I'm talking about, probably. I want to know more about the brother. But this is just an all-around great book, and I would recommend. It is very, very quick. It's not the longest, so it's a quick read. And it is so great. So I recommend. I also gave that 5 stars in case you were wondering. And this is also a 5 star, so the next book on my list is The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. This is the book that I keep mixing up the main characters of Blade of Secrets and this one because this follows Kiva, whereas the other follows Siva. But in this, we follow, as I said, Kiva, who is in this prison where she works as the prison healer. She is still a prisoner though, but every single prisoner kind of has a job in this prison, which makes sense. One day, a rebel queen is sent into this prison, and so this rebel queen enters and she's basically unconscious. But the king and queen, or the princes, or the ones that lead the prison, I don't remember who it is, but she is sentenced, like the rebel queen is sentenced to go through the trials of ordeal, or by ordeal? Trial by ordeal. Yes. Which is a trial where the accused must face all 4 ordeals in order of air, fire, water, and earth. So it's like elemental trials. And it is explained that these are basically impossible to survive. But this rebel queen is unconscious and she is very sick. So when the sentence is to be fulfilled, Kiva steps up and decides to volunteer in place of the queen, or the rebel queen, and do the trials for her. This has the consequence that if she fails, both the queen and Kiva will be executed. So this is basically what this book centers around. Now this book, there is a plot twist at the end. It is a huge plot twist, and I was shooketh. I loved it. I loved it so much. I remember when I read it, Lizzie was like, wait till you get to the end, it's phenomenal. And then when I got to the end, I texted her immediately and I was like, oh my god, that is so great, you were so right. And she was. So I would definitely recommend this. I haven't finished the entire series. It's on my list of things to do this year. I just cannot wait to see where this goes because I am so excited. It seems so cool. And I like the world that they're living in. Granted, we've only kind of explored the prison in this, but I have a feeling that we're going to explore more of the world in the coming books, because I do believe that there is a map. Yes, there is a map of the world, not just the prison. So I obviously gave this 5 stars, and I really need to continue with the series, but you know, the curse of the sequels, let's call it that, because I suck at continuing series. 2023 will be the year where I complete at least 5 series. I hope. Next up, also a 5 star. Caraval. I think most people know what Caraval is about, and I'm sorry that I will now explain it in a very sucky way because I feel like it's tough to explain without giving too much away. But basically, we follow these 2 sisters, Tella and Scarlet, I believe their names are. Yeah. And they have always wanted to explore or see Caraval, which is this magical circus or festival, carnival thing. Carnival is probably the correct word. At each Caraval there is like a quest that every participant has to fulfill, and when Tella and Scarlet get to Caraval, Tella is missing, and the quest this year is to find Tella, which seems especially torturous for Scarlet, which is the person we are following. I feel like that is the best I can do to explain what this is about, but it is such a great book and I don't want to say more. It will give you the circus vibes that you are looking for. It will. And the mystery in this is great. I like the plot twists. I like the characters in general. I like that you don't really know who to trust and who you can't trust. Like, it's very much like, is what this person is saying, is that true or what? So I really like that aspect of it, that you never really know how things are gonna go. And I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen next, because I literally have no idea. The next book I don't have here, but it is Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. And in this we basically follow a bunch of kids after their travels to like a hidden world, if that makes sense. So imagine the kids from Narnia after Narnia has like disappeared to them. Or I can't really think of anybody else. Oh, Alice from Alice in Wonderland, when she got home from Wonderland and Wonderland disappeared. No one would really believe you, but you know what you experienced, or did you? And that is basically what we follow. And then there is this home for kids who've experienced these kind of things. And it's just really phenomenal. I really like it. I listened to it as an audio, and it's a very quick listen because all of the books are fairly short. And I just really enjoyed it. I need to continue with it, and I also need to collect the books, but they're kind of expensive in Denmark, so it will take me a little while. But it's a really great book, and I really enjoyed it. There is also this mystery, so it's not only about that, but there is also a little bit of a mystery happening at the school. If I remember correctly, somebody turns up dead, and they need to figure out why and who killed this person, and it is not who you think it is. So I really enjoyed it, and I felt like the pacing was great. It's a short book, so it's also limited how much information you can put into it, but I feel like it was explained in a good way, because our main character, when she comes to this home, there is a lot of terms that she doesn't know in regards to talking about these worlds that they have. So in the same way that she learns what they mean, we learn what they mean. And I like when books do that, so it's not like an explanation to the reader, it's an explanation to the main character that the reader is following along. And that is just something that I really appreciate in books, because it makes it seem more natural that there would be an explanation to the terms that they use, or the land that they're living in, or the places that they go to. And I really like that. So it was a clever way to have the main character introduced. Like, she got to this place and she needed to learn what type of place this was. And it's just a great way to introduce the place in a first book. So I feel like it was top tier. The writing was phenomenal. Even though it was a short book and we didn't really get to know all of the characters like that well, I feel like a lot of them just kind of entered my heart immediately. So I really like the characters, and I'm excited to continue with the series. I have already read the second book. That is not on this list, unfortunately, but it's close to, but it just didn't really hit me in the same way that the first one did. I'm really excited to see where the third book is going. Next up, Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. First up, I hate the cover. Absolutely awful. And that was one of the things that made me think that I wouldn't like this book. I don't know why. Because it's phenomenal. And this we basically follow 5 kids, I think. I think it's 5 kids that is in a car crash. And then they kind of enter what we would call limbo, but is Neverworld, I think. They then have to decide which one of them gets to survive. And they have like 24 hours before the day restarts, and they die anew, and they're in this car and they die, and then, So it's basically just a day on a loop and they're dead. It is heartbreaking in a way, and scary, because you kind of get to think, what would I do in this situation where I would have to bargain with these people that are my friends, whether or not I should be the one to survive? And do I even deserve to? Do I even want to? And it's kind of that exploration in this, I don't want to call it a magical land, but because it's like a contemporary, but with this mysterious paranormal kind of element that is the day that goes in a loop. And I believe that it's something with the further away you travel from the place that you died, the shorter the day is. So if you're like far away, it can be like a second. I don't even know how to explain it without spoiling it. So I just want to say it is such a great book. It left me shooketh and I did not expect to love this as much as I do. If you're on like the fence about this, read it. Next up is another 4.5, I believe. We have the Mystic School of Musiccraft. This is one of 2 middle grades on this list. So yay, middle grades for getting on the list. I normally don't, well, I keep saying this, but I actually don't know. But in my mind, I normally don't like music heavy books. I don't understand the terminology, and I don't really care all that much when the magic systems are centered around music. So I was like, okay, fine, let's give it a go. This, I really enjoyed it because there is a little bit of terminology, but it is supposed to be understandable for kids. So, it's understandable for me. I understand the terminology because, as I said, it is like the intended audience is kids. We also have like a girl who has then gotten into this academy on a technicality, and we have a separate little mystery that we follow for one reason, or we follow for a reason, but we think we follow it for another reason. I can't go into it because it also kind of has something to do with the sequel. But there's just so many things. And we have these kind of enemies to friends vibes. There is some trials. There is something about like the magic of being a composer as opposed to the magic of being a musician. There's just so many aspects of this, and I love it. The next book that we have is also a 4.5. We have Six Crimson Cranes. In this is like a retelling of The Wild Swans. So in this, we follow our main character, whose name I don't remember. It's Shiori. And her evil stepmother curses her to, first of all, wear a wooden ball on her head, which doesn't make sense, but I'll leave that be, and turns her brothers into cranes. The curse on her is that if she removes the wooden ball or if she speaks, her brothers will die. So basically we follow Shiori as she navigates the lands, because she has been sent away, without being able to speak, and how she forms friendships without being able to speak, and how she will do anything to save her brothers. It's just such a great tale of sister or sibling love and dynamic. I freaking love it. And I really, really love The Wild Swans. So instantly when I saw that this was coming out, I was like, yes, I need to get my hands on it. And then when I read it, I was like, oh my god, this is so great. I really like the magic system in this, and I like that there's also dragons, and it is just great. I don't have much to say about this other than the fact that it is just a really great book, and I'm glad that I read it. We have 2 books left, and the first one is a Snigger of Magic. I don't have it here, but this. So in this we follow Felicity, whose magic is that she can collect words. She basically sees the words all around her, and she can collect them and use them, obviously. And the beauty that I find in this book is that it is so simple. It is so simple. It's just following a little girl whose magic is that she can see words hanging around her. She moves into this new city and kind of tries to form friendships, but because she is so special and has her magic, it's hard. The thing about this book that I find so intriguing is that we never really know if it's an actual magic or if it's kids' imagination. And I really, really like that. It is so damn adorable. And the fact that she also kind of forms a friendship with somebody who has a different type of magic, and that he claims that he can do this. I really, really love it because it's just such a fun friendship, and it is the perfect friendship, in my opinion, that she forms. I just really enjoy this. It was such a great read. I read it as an audiobook, so I never had the book, but I want it now. And I want to read more of Natalie Lloyd's books because it seems like they're all this kind of cozy, nice middle grades that you would want to just sit and relax to, so you don't have to think all that much, but at the same time have like a very, very strong morale, kind of like a point to it, if it makes sense, like a reason. And I really, really like this, and the fact that the magic is more in her belief of magic and not so much the magic itself. It is just absolutely beautiful, and I really, really enjoyed it. So the final book that I have is this one, Murder for the Modern Girl by Kendall Culper. This is set in the 1920s in New Orleans? No, in Chicago. And we follow Ruby, who is a mind reader and also a murderer and kills rapists and people who assault people and violent people, other murderers as well. We also follow a guy who is a shapeshifter, and as soon as he has seen somebody, he can basically turn into them and kind of, you know, shed his skin and be them. And I feel like that is just such a fun combination, because when Ruby first meets Guy, his thoughts or his voice in his head is different from the voice that he has, and she wonders why. And then he wonders why she seems so sure that he is somebody else. So they're intrigued by each other. At the same time, he is working at the morgue and trying to figure out who's killing all these men, and she is killing all these men because they are bad people. It is just such a great book, in my opinion. It's different from what I've read before. I haven't really explored the whole mind reader a whole lot. It was in Graceling a little bit, but on a different level. It was done differently. And this was just really, really... to me, it seems like it's a great way to use mind reading. And how I would want to use... Well, not murder people, but I would want to at least know who to steer clear of and who to protect people from. I feel like that would be a great superpower. And I like the way that this was done. Different from what I've seen before. And also with the whole 1920s vibe. I've kind of discovered that I really, really like reading about the 20s. So, with a magical element, of course, because that just adds a little bit to it. And this was great. There is also a lot more to it. From the fact that Ruby is the daughter of a very powerful man, and the fact that Guy is kind of like no one and kind of hides from everybody. But there is also a corrupt system that they're trying to figure out how to deal with. And it is just, there's so many aspects of this, and the fact that this is a fairly short standalone. I feel like the pacing is done really well, and it's not too fast or too slow. We understand everything that is going on, and it seems like it's just chef's kiss. That's all I have to say. That was it. That was all 10 books, like the top 10 books for me in 2022. Thank you so much for watching. Please tell me down in the comments maybe your top 3 of 2022. If you can't do that, then do a top 5. Do a top however many you feel like you can justify. I just want to see, and maybe get some inspiration as to what to add to my TBR, which is enormous already, but I mean, it could be bigger. If you just want to let me know that you're here, you can always leave a green heart. If you like this video, please hit the like icon, and if you want to see more of my bookish content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It will mean the world to me. And until I see you next time, bye!